Hello. Today, I'll show you the recipe for a very delicious apple pie. It's made quite simply and quickly, and the result is excellent. First, we need to take chicken eggs and separate the whites from the yolks. To do this, we crack the eggs into a bowl and carefully separate the yolk. We crack the next egg and watch carefully so that the yolk doesn't get damaged and no pieces of it fall into the white, because next we'll be whipping the whites, and if the yolk gets into the white, it might not whip up. In total, this recipe requires 5 eggs. And like this, we carefully separate each yolk from each white. While I'm doing this, I'd be happy if you write in the comments which country you're watching this video from. It's always nice for me to learn more interesting things about you, and your support is very important to me. When we've separated all the yolks from the whites, we carefully pour the whites into a separate container and we'll whip them. We need to achieve the point where the whites are whipped into a stiff foam so that when we turn the bowl over, the whites don't spread but hold their shape. This is convenient to do with a mixer or, as I'm doing it, by hand. For the whites to whip well, they need to be cold. Preferably the dish should also be cold, and no extraneous drops of water or pieces of something, crumbs, should get in, then the whites will whip well. Such a pie is not difficult to prepare even for a beginner cook. And if you've just learned that guests are coming to you soon, then this recipe will suit you perfectly. It's prepared from simple ingredients that are always in the fridge and turns out invariably tasty and appetizing. Here's the consistency we've got. If we remove the whisk, you'll see that the whites hold their shape well. This is exactly what we need for this recipe. Next, we need to melt a piece of butter. For this, we heat the pan and gradually melt the piece of butter slowly over low heat. We'll add it to the dough so that it acquires a buttery taste and pleasant texture. When our butter has melted and become liquid, we remove the pan from the heat and pour the butter into a separate container to cool. We need it to cool completely. When the butter has cooled, we add it to the yolks and also pour in about 100 g of sugar and gently mix everything until a uniform consistency. Here's how it is, without lumps. Share in the comments what you love to cook most in the fall. What pies, or maybe you prefer buns, or some quick cookies that bake in 15 minutes. What recipes would you like to see on this blog? Maybe share your favorite pies. I'll be very interested to learn more about your preferences. We add the yolks whipped with sugar to the whites. Here they are, so bright and yellow, and next we need to add flour. And of course, it's better to sift it through a sieve to make it more airy. We add about 1 cup of flour for such a dough, and gently mix with a spatula from bottom to top. Here it's very important to mix so gently that we don't change the consistency of the whipped whites, so that during mixing, this airiness of the whipped whites is preserved and our pie is so tender and its consistency is very pleasant. Well, and of course, apples. How can there be an apple pie without apples? And I have 5 small apples. They are aromatic, a little tangy, and firm. They hold their shape well and don't fall apart during baking. We peel them and we'll cut them quite finely to then place all this in our pie. It's especially cool, I think, to make such pies with apples grown in your garden. If you see, they darken a bit faster than store-bought apples, but they are so aromatic and juicy that I'm already anticipating how this will be felt in the pie, how they will transfer all their pleasant and useful properties to the baking. We'll melt a little butter on the pan. We'll fry the apples in it, caramelize them a bit. For this, we add sugar, about 50 g, and melt it together with the butter to get caramel. Next, we add the apples and stew them in this caramel for just 3 to 5 minutes. So that they become soft, we're sure they'll bake during the pie's baking, and for this golden color and caramel taste. We add a teaspoon of cinnamon and a teaspoon of nutmeg for aroma. And already during cooking, the whole house is filled with the aromas of apples and cinnamon, and it makes you want to take a piece of pie, sit by the window with a cup of tea, and slowly enjoy the autumn homemade dessert. Now we grease the form in which our pie will be baked with butter. We do this so that it doesn't burn and is easy to remove after baking. You can also use a spring form pan if it's more convenient for you. We transfer the dough to the baking form, level it with a spatula so that it's approximately at the same level. Next, we carefully lay out our caramelized baked apples. I think it's important in the hustle of days to find time to prepare such delicious homemade baking. Not to rush anywhere to get pleasure from cooking. And in the evening, invite close people over and treat them to aromatic, warm homemade food. This channel is for you to get inspiration for such simple and important joys. We'll add a little almond to our apple pie. For this, we'll chop the almond with a knife into small pieces. Almond will add a delightful crunch, like a walk on autumn leaves in the garden, making each piece of pie a textural discovery, contrasting with the softness of the apples and the tenderness of the dough. Also, almond will enrich the taste with a nutty note, which perfectly complements the tanginess of the apples. Almond will contribute useful properties, proteins, and vitamins, turning the pie into a healthy autumn dessert. After we've sprinkled the pie with chopped almond, we send it to the oven for 30 to 40 minutes. And here's our pie ready. Look how rosy and appetizing it is. We sprinkle it on top with powdered sugar to further emphasize the sweetness of the pie and create a contrast with the sour apple filling. I'm already eager to cut a piece and finally try this homemade dessert filled with love and good mood. I thank you for watching this video. Thank you for all the likes you give and the comments you write. Your support is very important to me. If you love apple pie recipes, then watch my other videos that are in the playlist with a selection of autumn apple pies. Bon appetit, and see you in the next video.